Breaking news out of Los Angeles, where President Trump has deployed the California National Guard after 3 days of confrontations between protesters and law enforcement over the administration's mass deportation push in and around Los Angeles. Moments ago, he spoke to reporters before boarding Air Force One for Camp David. He was non-committal about whether he would escalate the situation in Southern California.
Mr. President, on California, are you prepared to invoke the Insurrection Act?
Depends on whether or not there's an insurrection. No, but you have violent people, and we're not going to let them get away with it.
Even if you're not planning to invoke that Insurrection Act, you still plan to send troops?
Well, we're going to have troops everywhere. We're not going to let this happen to our country. We're not going to let our country be torn apart like it was under Biden and his auto pen.
Marines.
The bar is what I think it is. I mean, if we see danger to our country and to our citizens, we'll be very, very strong in terms of law and order. It's about law and order.
What you're watching isn't just headlines. It's a moment. 2,000 troops deployed to Los Angeles, not overseas, not a war zone, but in an American city. This is more than a strategy. This is a statement. In a country still scared by its past, still struggling with its present, this move shakes the ground. Protesters marching for justice now face military boots on American soil. What message does this send? Protection or suppression? Just let me know in the comment section. And just as the news broke, Americans reacted just in real time. Some were stunned, some were angry, some were applauded. But one thing's for sure, everyone felt it. This isn't just about troops. It's about race, leadership, rebellion, power, and what happens when they all collide. So now, let's hear from the people. They are raw, unfiltered voices in the middle of the storm. This is the Ask. If you haven't subscribed, please do it, and give us a like if you find this video interesting. Let's go into the video.
Okay, so we're going to play a little bit of a game here. You're President of the United States. That's right. You've been elevated. You've been elected. You're president. And you've just dispatched 2,000 National Guards troops to a major American city. So where do you think you would be right now? Do you think you'd be in the White House monitoring the situation? Think you'd be surrounded by your advisors? Maybe in the Situation Room? That's what you'd probably do, right? I mean, that's what I would do. Where do you think Donald Trump was when all of this was going on? If you're not sure, just take a look. He was at a UFC event in New Jersey. That's right. He was at the fights while he dispatched 2,000 National Guard troops to a major American city. You would think he'd want to be in the White House or in the Situation Room, but monitoring every detail, every moment to make sure that this thing went down okay. If he believed that there was lawlessness and these people were there to stop it, he should have been there monitoring to make sure that it got stopped. He should have made sure that there were no American citizens hurt. He should have made sure no law enforcement was hurt or no National Guard person was hurt. But he wasn't at the White House. He was at the fights, yucking it up, having fun. That's your President of the United States. And if there's anything that shows that, you know what, there's sometimes he just really doesn't care. He didn't see this as important. He really didn't. If he did, he would have taken himself back to the White House. But what he was doing on his weekly golf/sports events excursions was obviously a hell of a lot more important than making sure American citizens were okay.
Do y'all see what's going on in LA? Shit getting crazy out there. They have now deployed the National Guards in LA. Y'all, look at this shit. They is not fucking around. They got National Guards there. I heard they ready for whatever. Look at these people, y'all. They is burning, breaking, throwing rocks, doing all that shit. That's crazy, fool. This joint look like it's LA fires all over. So at first it was a peaceful protest, but then that joint started getting real. They said Gavin Newsom wasn't gonna call. Like, he was fine with it. But Trump was like, so you're not gonna call, right? He hopped on that phone. Yeah, I need you to deploy 2,000 troops to LA, please. Said as of right now, 200 people has been arrested. They said this is the first time since 1965 that a president has deployed the National Guards without the state's permission. Gavin Newsom calls this abuse of power. He was like, if he can deploy troops in my state without my permission, he can do it anywhere.
Hey y'all, it's your friendly neighborhood therapist. So, all this stuff in the news right now concerning LA, specifically protests in LA, in which protesters are speaking out against immigration raids and clashing with law enforcement in LA. Well, the National Guard has been deployed. The National Guard has been deployed on U.S. citizens protesting. It is our right to peaceably protest. We told y'all that this was going to happen, right? This is why a bunch of us were like, hey, don't go out there. Telling our people, don't go out there. I don't care what they do to try to rile you up. I don't care what they say, what happens. Do not go out in those streets, because that gives them leeway to then harm you for something that you have a right to do. But that's neither here nor there. Looking at the live updates here, California Governor Gavin Newsom and LA Mayor Karen Bass have criticized this move as unnecessary and said it risks escalating the violence as protests extend to a third day. There were ICE raids, they snatching folks up. Like, we knew this was going to happen, but this is what I want to comment on real quick. A friend of mine sent me another content creator's post about this, and in the comment section, there are tons and tons of Americans who seem to think that because people who joined the military took this oath to the Constitution, that they wouldn't do this. They're not going to follow these orders. Yes, they are. I don't think y'all understand when I say, and I've said it numerous times, the military is a microcosm of the country. Everything that happens in our society also happens in the military. There are racists in our society. There are racists in the military. There are MAGA supporters in our society. There are MAGA supporters in our military. And at the end of the day, a lot of them are not going to do what y'all think they're going to do. They're not going to not follow a direct order. That's not going to happen. I know y'all think that. That's not going to happen. There are immoral people in the real world. There are immoral people in the military. I don't understand why y'all don't understand this. And for anybody who want to hop in my comments and start talking, I am a military spouse. My husband is overseas right now on assignment. So what I'm telling you is what I have myself experienced after, he been in here for about 15 years now? 15 years I have experienced military life. And yes, it has its pros, but it also has its cons. Okay? So don't think for a second that those in the military will not follow these orders and attack American citizens. They will. Okay? They will.
Let that sink in. Told not to protest because history shows us it rarely ends well, and we know that. This isn't just fear, it's experience, passed down, lived, and survived. And now, with troops in the streets, it feels like a cycle repeating. People aren't just protecting policies, they are pushing back against a system that always seems ready to push harder. But the question remains, is this the same fight or a new chapter? And more importantly, who gets to define what's peaceful? Let me know in the comment section. Let's continue.
300 National Guardmen on the ground in Los Angeles, California right now. Y'all, as a lot of y'all know, the ICE raids has started in Los Angeles. So did the protests, y'all. The protests have began to start looking like riot-like material. Because of that, they couldn't let that stand. The governor of California said that he still needs his citizens to feel safe, and he did not feel safe with people protesting and acting the way that they were. Acts of violence had occurred. A lot of stuff was going down. So they enlisted the help of the National Guard. Donald Trump signed it over, told the National Guard, get there. 2,000 members of the National Guard have been deployed to Los Angeles, California. They currently have 300 on the ground, suited and booted, pums in hand, ready for it to go down, y'all. And it is sad to even have to report or talk about any of this, y'all, because as y'all know, no major riot has occurred since 1992, back when Rodney King riot occurred. That's been a good long time. Nothing major of that sort had happened since 1992. No president has had to sign no type of order to send troops in, since that time frame and give them full go ahead to do whatever they need to do. They're currently on the ground, y'all. So if you are in the state of California, the Los Angeles area, be safe. It's a lot going on there currently. Prayers for the whole state of California. Bye, y'all.
You ever get used to the chaos that you just sit back and snack on it? That's what this moment feels like. A protest turns into a military operation and someone's just watching it like a UFC match. It's funny, but it's not. It's survival through humor. A coping mechanism dressed up in a sarcasm. Because when the government sends in troops, and people are still told they are the problem, what do you expect? Sometimes the only thing left to do is eat your ice cream or anything else you have and try not to scream. Welcome to America, where the revolution is live streamed. And the reaction is, damn, that's weird. Let's continue to our reaction.
So, ladies and gentlemen, the National Guard is being called to Los Angeles, and I can't help but think to myself, this is why I voted for Donald Trump. Now, what I'm asking of the National Guard and I'm asking of the federal government is this: can you please live stream whatever happens? Because this is what I voted for, and I feel like it's 2025, and I should be able to witness liberals facing the repercussions for their actions. I think this is more riveting than the NBA playoffs this year. Liberals versus the National Guard. It's like Monday Night Football. Live streaming. I just want to see them stop justice from taking place. I want to see them crying and the tear gas is flowing. I want to see this. So the National Guard, can you please make this happen for a fella like me? Skedaddle.
Uh-oh, Trump just sent 700 Marines to Los Angeles to back up the National Guard against these out-of-control protesters. And let me be clear, the Marines are the big dogs. This ain't no regular crowd control. When they show up, the games are over. These men and women are highly trained, highly efficient, and they don't come to negotiate with chaos. This right here is law and order being restored. And it's about time. These aren't peaceful protests anymore. And this is a coordinated Democrat-endorsed coup disguised as activism, and Trump just made it clear he's not letting this country fall. Y'all wanted strength? Here it is. Y'all cried for leadership. It just walked in wearing combat boots. And don't get it twisted. This is not about silencing voices. This is about stopping destruction, ending madness, and sending a clear message. The United States will not be bullied from within. Let's go, Trump. Handle it. I guarantee you this bill will be done within the next 24 hours. It's over.
So where does that leave us? One country, 8 voices. Some angry, some proud, some confused. And all of them right in their own way. Because the truth is, this ain't black and white. It's red, white, and blue, soaked in struggle. 2,000 troops, 700 Marines, and a lot of emotions: fear, pride, rage, and relief, all showing up at the same time, at the same streets. But that's what makes a country what it is: loud, divided, alive. Whether you are marching in the protest, voting from your couch, or eating ice cream, watching it all go down, you are part of it. America's story is still being written by voices just like these. So don't just watch history. Be aware you are in it. This is more than a moment. This is the mirror. Thank you for watching. Consider subscribing and like the video if you find it interesting. Share to someone who needs to hear this, and see you to the next one. Catch you later. Bye bye. Wish you love and peace.